Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us here in the 21 Alive Plus studio. Meg Rossler joining you here with Jessica Walter, who we've been coming in and out with this afternoon. Jess has been down in Carroll County all day for the first day of the Delphi murders trial. And Jess, I know the last time we caught up with you was earlier this afternoon, and you do have some stuff to do for our evening shows, so we know we have to keep this pretty quick. But when it comes to what we didn't get to discuss earlier today, pre that lunch break that happened this afternoon, what has taken place in the trial since that last time we checked in with you?
Yeah, Meg, to kind of keep this brief, essentially we heard from family members of Libby German. She was one of the two girls that was found brutally murdered back in 2017 here in Delphi. We heard from her grandma, her sister, and her dad, all taking really an emotional stand there in the courtroom. I kind of want to focus on the grandma's testimony. That was the first one we heard from an update from the people who are in the courtroom today. But she said as Libby and Abby were heading out to their hike near the Monon High Bridge on that mid-February day, she said it was cold. She said she told Libby to wear a jacket, and to that Libby said, "Grandma, I will be okay." So neither of them realized that was the last interaction they were ever going to have together. It was a normal day for them. Her sister Kelsey was going to take them there so they could take the hike. The dad was going to be picking up them from the trail later that day. They went to the trail. They were going about their day. Now, according to the family, again, this is the family of Libby German, so we've only heard from them so far today. Libby was quiet but outspoken, but she was always on time and she was always communicating. Her sister said, she was always attached to her phone, so she was always communicating with her family, especially if, something was changing in the schedule. So she said when Libby didn't come home on time that day, she knew something was wrong. She said the search began quickly after they were on the phone with AT&T trying to ping the phone. They really didn't get any answers until the next morning. They went and they heard somebody yelling, "They've been found, they've been found." She said she told her sister-in-law, "Take me to Libby." She said, "I'm sorry." And she said it really didn't hit her until she saw the coroner's van driving by. Now, the sister also saying it really didn't sink in for her when she first heard the news until she kind of went home and realized what had happened and really the severity of this situation. So we're told in that moment when she was talking about the moment she realized Libby and Abby had passed, a juror in the courtroom began to cry. She was described as an older woman. Now, after Becky spoke, some of the Allen's attorneys began to ask a couple of questions, including, was Libby ever exposed to handguns in the home? Libby lived with her grandmother in a home. They asked if she had ever been exposed to handguns in the home, and then they asked them about DNA evidence. Now, this was in reference to a hair that was found on Libby's hand. So they had asked both the grandmother, Becky, and the sister, Kelsey, if they had provided any DNA evidence in the recent days, and they both had said yes. So definitely an emotional day in the courtroom. Like I said, there's a lot to unpack there, but that's kind of the gist of, the grandmother's perspective at the very least of what happened that day. I mean, she was the last person in the family besides the sister to see Libby and Abby before they went on that trail that day.
And Jess, I think it's important to just mention once again is we are not physically in the courtroom today. 21 Alive did not have anyone that was able to be there and actually hear everyone take a stand in the courtroom today. So I think it's just interesting, when we get information from those reporters who are in there, we have to kind of get that second hand and still have to realize the emotion and everything that was going on in the courtroom, and us just getting our own perspective of it from not being able there to witness it firsthand. But it's definitely interesting to get all that information from everyone that was in there today. And Jess, I know again you have things to get ready for our evening shows. Is there anything else you want to point out for us right now before you head back on air? Anything else that stood out to you from everyone you've been discussing with today?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's kind of a difficult situation. We're not physically in there. So when these courtroom reporters come out, it's kind of everyone clamoring to one spot, trying to get that information, trying to relay it to you. And like you said, it is kind of hard. We are not seeing these people's faces. They're telling us in as much detail as they can, and they're taking great notes, which jurors are reacting certain ways, how Richard Allen is, displaying his emotions, but we're not seeing it firsthand. We do have a spot in the courtroom on Tuesday, so we will have someone from 21 Alive from our team who is able to do that for us. But right now, it's one of those things where we kind of have to rely on that information from our other trusted journalists and be able to relay it back to you guys.
And it's Tuesday and Thursday next week. I believe we will have someone in the courtroom. So that's 2 more days that we can,
Yes.
get that firsthand experience. Just so everyone is aware, that is when we will be down there in the courtroom. And Jess, I just want to thank you again for being down there all day. I know it's been a long day with a lot of information being passed back and forth, and we really appreciate you being able to come on here and on our regular broadcast as well to bring everyone the latest information. Obviously, such a historic and big trial in the state that, again, is expected to continue for maybe 5 weeks at this point. So, Jess, just want to thank you again and hope you have a good rest of your evening down there.
Yeah, thanks.